Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into another preseason special edition of Jackrabbit Illustrated. Thank you for joining us on a Sunday night. We are excited to be back to you. We're going to be talking Missouri Valley Football Conference. Upcoming previews, thoughts. We were at Media Day, had a ton of fun there. But I would be remiss if first I didn't mention our sponsors. As always, Jackrabbit Illustrated is brought to you by Kubota Dealers of South Dakota. They've got locations all over this great state, so get yourself into some orange today, and they got a dealership near you where they can provide you parts and service as well. On top of it, they'll get anything done that you might need done around your farm or acreage for you. And then also, as always, our specialty podcasts like this one that are out of schedule from our normal B team, A team, Scared Money Don't Make Money, and late night shows. We have our special preseason shows, and that is brought to you by Northwestern Mutual of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, or just South Dakota. We are very proud to be sponsored with them this year. As always, we do Alex's Lemonade Stand with them. But if you are in a place where you're not sure where your retirement or life is heading, go ahead and go down and talk to the fine folks at Northwestern Mutual. They'll get you all straightened out. Doesn't cost you anything. Get your financial future in order sooner than later. Your life will be a lot easier for it. So, fellas, how are we doing today? We're getting asked right away the heavy hitting questions by Kevin. Where's Ben? I miss him. Where is Ben? I forget.
We're Del Rapids probably, but yeah, I don't know what Ben had going on tonight. Dallas doing, the Dallas thing, running after kids. He was maybe going to catch some of it live. And then Matt was hunkering down. I'm sure a lot of people seen the tornado that went through Henry and Watertown about an hour ago. So naturally that storm cell is headed straight towards Appleton. So hopefully everyone stays safe there. And Matt was gonna hunker down.
Probably the wise choice to be getting everything safe prior to the storm like that zipping through. And Ben does have a lot of kid, things to do with the kids and everything going on right now.
Handwave that either.
We're always all over the place.
Making fun of him a little bit.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Should be more concerned if we wouldn't, Michael.
If you're not here, we're gonna make fun of you.
Well, speaking of making fun of Murray and Michael, Racer One was a point of conversation
at Media Day.
At Media Day, which was great. And I was thinking of you, Michael. I was actually going to half almost ask the question about Racer One, and I decided probably not the wisest choice the first time they give us credentials, so I didn't.
Didn't Herder talk about riding it at some point to talk to the coach?
The coach brought it up. Yeah. It's not a dad bod, it's a father figure. Love it.
Yeah, it was either this shirt or my body's a machine for turning hot dogs into hot logs. So I went with this one.
Seth asked what Chad's shirt said for those audio only. But yeah, Coach Wright made it a point to discuss that, Racer One didn't get near enough exercise last year, and he was hoping to fix that this year.
Yeah, he specifically, I think it was asked, it might have been brought up by the USD guy about Racer One and all that. So I hope Racer One's running a lot more, Michael, but with 53 incoming freshmen, that's a tough row to hoe, man. That is a tough row to hoe.
Michael brings up one of Brendan's new best friends, Jerron Northington, but we can get to that. That dude's huge. We can get to that in a second here, though, because what I figured we'd start out with was, throw it over to Brendan here. Talk about his kind of thoughts in Media Day. I'll start, I guess. For Seth, throw it over to Brendan. I'll start. That was really cool. That was an awesome opportunity to get to do something like that. And, you get walk around and get to see like the people that are doing it, as they should, for their jobs. And here's Brendan and I spending a vacation day to go partake. But the unfiltered access, how polite and accommodating everyone was to us, when they certainly by no means had to be, that really stuck with me. Brendan, what were kind of your thoughts, takeaways from the whole ordeal?
Number one, I think it should absolutely be a yearly event. I think that was awesome. Like you said, just being able to see these guys in person, talk to some of the coaches. Zim mentioned, even for, people like him who are at every post-game press conference, it's nice to get to talk to these coaches and players and get to know them a little bit more than beyond, just the Valley conference call and everything else. It was great to see everybody in person. You could actually get a little bit of a it can be eye-opening to see some of these guys in person, which was cool.
That was
just a stat sheet.
Regrettably, the little bit we got to talk to him. Tim Polasek is a very cool dude. Like, yeah, unfortunately, it's nice like I don't want to like you, but like you're an all right guy,
Right. So that sort of part from that side of things, that was awesome. Things I picked up or noticed. There was definitely a bit of, and it wasn't like from NDSU or USD, interestingly enough, but there was a bit of finally they're having to deal with transfers and stuff on the western side of the conference. There was a little bit I felt a little bit of that from some of the coaches that finally it's not just us losing a bunch of guys. And it was interesting to talk to some of these coaches, like Murray State, where you're having a tough season. What's their mindset like? And what are some other coaches' mindsets like? Coach Phillips for Youngstown State, he was awesome to talk to, but it was interesting. He did point out, hey, we've got so many FBS schools around us and we've got this and that. And I found that interesting to be coming from a head coach, I guess. So yeah, it was really cool to be able to do that. The commissioners are, obviously the lead commissioner, Commissioner Jackson. He was very, very kind to us with his time to even sit and talk with us, and he chatted with us afterwards as well a little bit. Commissioner Fenton was great to talk to. Hopefully we'll be able to get him on the show at some point, because obviously with him being commissioner of Summit League, we've got all sorts of interest in talking to him. But no, it was really a really cool thing. It was kind of funny when we walked in. I think we were some of the first people there besides the crews that were there for like Midco and Forum setting up their TV shots and all that. So it was interesting as everybody kind of files in, and you felt a little out of place for a little bit, but it didn't take long. Sam Herder shows up, and we got to hang out with him quite a bit, talk with Terry Vanderbeck was great. So it was super good.
Way too nice to like. Sam hung out with us the entire time. Like, could have been talking to anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he knows where the guys that take care of him at tailgate are.
It's true.
Right. Well, and got to mention we had FCS Nation Radio had their representative there.
Yep. Nathan Swaffer was there representing Kevin and Stone. He'll be covering Valley for them this year. He was good to get a catch up with a little bit as well.
Yep. So that was cool. Got to see him a little bit, and yeah, so there it is. Yeah, Brian, I haven't started growing the beard back too much yet. He's Brian Thompson asked who the crap is in the upper left. Where's Thumper? I thought this was a 2-beard show. Give me a couple weeks. It'll be back. Doesn't take me long.
So we alluded to this, and we'll talk about him probably more when we get into the team preview shortly here and go to Murray. But my gosh, Juwan Northington, the running back from Murray State, his biceps and tries, like his upper part of his arm here, is no crap, like as big as my head, like if not bigger. Like that dude does not skip a day in the weight room.
He's one of the physically largest running backs I have been around in person. Like that, and then you look him up and he's only 5'9". But I didn't stand next to him. We watched him walk in and sit down at the podium, and and maybe some of it is that like Sam Hagen, he's a big dude, but
you expect it.
You expect it, and he's in a suit, so polos, you can look bigger, have tighter arms on him and all that stuff too. But yeah, that kid looked like a beast. He was the one who really stood out in my mind. Aiden Bauman looked a little more slimmed down.
Yeah, I know he's been talking about
You
that.
know.
If you listen to some of their stuff, he looks it. He looks skinny.
Yeah.
Is that because he anticipates having to move around in the pocket a lot more without an offensive line?
And once again,
did you ask that question?
No, he wasn't.
That's
part
why you
of
don't send me.
No, yeah, that is, yeah.
He has talked about that though. We'll get to some of that when we get to USD here, but he has talked about where he wants to be better about some of that. But
yeah, so and obviously when we go there, we can't be the B team when we're there.
Yeah.
We gotta act on A team behavior. So Kevin asked what Chad's sipping on. I think it's choking on is more the accurate term right now. I'm willing to bet it's an old fashioned.
It is just straight whiskey, and I accidentally spilled a little down my front when I was making the Aiden Bauman joke. Oh yeah, it's just a little. It just spreads out well.
It looks a lot.
So
I don't know what whiskey my wife handed me, but if I had to guess, it's Benchmark. If I had to guess.
Find someone that laughs at your jokes the way Chad laughs on his own. That's all I have to say.
Hey, if nobody else finds you funny, at least you got to humor yourself.
That's right. Goddamn right. Obviously Blue Bloods thought you were funny. That was good. That was a good joke.
One thing before we get into brass tacks here, unless you had something else to add here, Brendan.
Nope.
So with Kevin Marshall's vein of what you sipping on, not sure how much anyone's been paying attention to social media or anything like that, but fitting the three of us are here. Last weekend, the three of us had the opportunity to go down to Wooden Legs and
in Brookings, yeah. For those that aren't familiar.
Yeah, in Brookings, craft brewery in Brookings, phenomenal place. You should check it out. They are a new sponsor for us this year. And Brendan and Chad and myself actually helped Derek, one of their brewers there, brew a beer. And that will be available soon. I don't know that we have a complete timeline on that yet. You know more about that, Chad. Do you want to speak to some of that?
I don't have a definite timeline. Fermentation takes what it takes, I guess, to hit the ABV that you're looking for until it dies off or you kill it off.
So Alex is soft selling this a little bit. We didn't just brew any beer. This is the Jackrabbit Illustrated beer that was brewed.
Yes.
It will be a Jackrabbit Illustrated collab. It is not a stout, Damien.
It's a cold.
I like that. Other people would like that, but we went with a crowd pleaser, a lighter beer.
I think my vote was a
lighter beer.
But I didn't realize how long they take to ferment.
A lager we would have had to start in March
which I did not realize.
At least May, I mean.
Yeah, they take a long time, but we all, I think everybody in the podcast would like a stout, but we want something that is, like Chad said, crowd pleaser. Let's be honest, most of our fan base is Busch Light drinkers, so the stout is not gonna play quite like we hope to. So, anyways, so we're ecstatic to be collaborating with Wooden Legs about that.
You're welcome, Kurt.
We're gonna have some things coming up with that as well with them on top of it, possibly live shows and all that stuff, but we'll see. We're excited. We're really excited to be collaborating with Wooden Legs Brewery. It's going to be awesome. Portion of the funds will be donated, so we're excited about that. And so that's where we're at with that. We're really excited. I mean, I think we thought we made it with Cubbies, but to have our own beer, I think,
right?
Yeah, Mama, I made it.
You didn't ask me what I had for supper tonight.
What'd you have for
Hadrick Ranch?
I did too, actually.
Chislick, and it was fantastic.
We had our last two ribeyes. I threw those on the Blackstone, but we cooked our Chislick up a couple days ago. So another new sponsor for the show this year. All shows Hadrick Ranch, premium quality Black Angus beef. Get with Troy, and they don't upsell it. And I'll just personal thing here. So these guys can vouch for me. I was talking in our group chat. I was like, stupid thing to lament about, but I was already somewhat lamenting, like, oh my gosh, I literally just bought a quarter. Like, where am I going to stick all this? And, normally, so
in your
Don't
stomach.
want to disparage that because that's quality stuff too, right in my stomach. But I got a buddy who's got a farm down by the Lake Andes area, and it's just you buy a quarter, you get what you get. You buy a quarter steer. The marbling on the stuff you get from Hadrick is unreal, and I'm not just saying that because they're a sponsor. Like,
yeah,
this is insane quality stuff.
Yeah, it was nuts.
And they are, this is our Valley show. Our listeners from across the country, if you're not in South Dakota, they ship anywhere in the Continental 48. So go to Hadrick Ranch and get yourself some beef.
Oh, hey, Mom commented. Hi, Mom. Mike. Mike says they already have a racer beer. We need to try it when we come down. This is not a SDSU beer. SDSU has their own beer that is Ears Up, obviously through Fernson's. This is Jackrabbit Illustrated.
So this is a Jackrabbit Illustrated beer.
Are we going to release the name now, or are we going to wait till a B team show?
I wasn't going to.
We can wait. We can wait. I think we leave a little bit out there for the people. So yeah, but
they can guess. Put your guesses in the chat.
Yeah, put your guesses in the chat. I hate that.
What up?
I don't.
What up, chat?
I never want to say that again.
I'm going to say that again. What up, chat?
So,
anyways,
we'll throw the preseason rankings up here, and we'll talk with our initial takeaways from me today. But specifically, do you have anything to add our conversations with Jackson and Fenton? Because I had a few things I wanted to add here, Brendan, we didn't talk about necessarily.
For sure.
Did you?
Oh, I thought you said you did have something to add. I was like, yeah,
I do, but I was asking if you
add away. No, man.
So for those that didn't listen to that interview, it sounds like I need to confirm with Kyle Grooms, which he follows me on Twitter, so I can DM him. I should have just done that beforehand, but I didn't because I'm not a real journalist, as we already established. But it sounds like helmet communication will potentially be legal for conference play this year. If you go back and listen to that interview with Commissioner Jackson,
yep.
I thought that was pretty interesting. I thought the piece on, we asked him scholarship limits, and I almost feel bad because if you go back and listen to I listened to him with Izzo and Sioux Falls Live, and they both asked the same question, fourth time I'm getting asked this today.
I think that's just the nature of life when you're in that position, because
I'm sure
there's no way for us to have listened to that, and we can't assume
at that point.
Yeah.
But no scholarship limits until the NCAA forces them to have them. I believe his exact wording is, I'm not going to dictate to our football programs what they think they need to do to be competitive. Okay.
I would not go so far as to say no scholarship limits guaranteed, because
no, did I say guaranteed?
He made it seem like he's not going to push for it, but if the university presidents get together in the conference and decide,
I should have clarified.
That's a different story. So we don't want to get ahead of ourselves too much on that.
No, he said he's willing to listen to what the president's saying. Right now, it sounds like they don't want one. So he's not going to have one. And then, that was kind of my two takeaways. Did you have anything else we didn't already cover from talking with Jackson and Fenton there, Brendan?
Not really from Jackson and Fenton, but you bringing up presidents reminded me.
We did get a talk with President Dunn briefly. He sat with us at lunch instead of the other admins, which, don't get me wrong, I was super flattered at that. But I was also just all of a sudden at lunch, all the other 80s and presidents are sitting with the commissioner, and here come President Dunn and Justin Sell, and they sit with me and Brendan at lunch.
That was pretty cool. Yep, and Justin Sell, of course, was there. President Dunn was one of only 3 presidents who came down, which tells you how much this all matters to SDSU, and they're invested, as opposed to some universities who didn't have their presidents there.
Some that were within,
and granted,
distance. We're not just
it's close.
about the ones on the east side.
Are we talking about the ones that follow us online?
Granted, it's close to us, in distance, but compared to the eastern schools and whatnot, it's really close for us, but still, that was really cool. It was great to be able to talk to them, which was awesome. And yeah, I think those are the things that stand out. I really liked what Midco did. I think that really added a cool flair to it, having the Midco live stage with the talk show-esque setup with them doing interviews. If you're looking for that, those are located on Midco. You can find those. I found them under the app on the under Missouri Valley Football tab. Then they had that under there. Also, if you want all the press conferences that were Zoom and everything else like that, Sam Herder posted those to his podcast platform.
Yeah, the conference still doesn't have those up, which is odd. But
I wouldn't be surprised if they don't. But Sam put it up.
Sam has those on his channel. They're all available there.
Yep. So that was really cool. Sometimes conference isn't great about putting that stuff on, although they seem to be improving on that front, obviously having in-person media day. So that was cool. I was surprised that there was absolutely that Commissioner Jackson was like, yeah, I want nothing to do with trying to limit what the schools invest. And I found that really interesting. And listening to the questions across the board, Sam Herder asked, because he put an article out about it, but he asked every coach, do you think that opting in is going to level the playing field or make the discrepancy across the board larger? And most of them, a fair amount of them, said level the playing field, which I found interesting.
Yeah, I thought was really interesting too. Part of that is obviously the ability, the ability to dictate, like USD has somewhat alluded to, not to throw them under the bus or elevate them, depending on your viewpoint on that, but to pull funds from other areas to NIL to help with recruiting. But even still, I think in 2 years, you see SDSU and NDSU with 10, 15, if not 20 more scholarship kids. I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility, and that's a big deal.
Yeah,
it always was a differentiator when we'd go play the FBS teams, right? We could hang with them for 2 quarters, and we'd run out of horses.
Yep. And, does that change or does that stay the same? Because everybody's going to have that opportunity. We'll be curious to see that. I think those schools are, or at least those coaches are excited for the possibility, because to them it opens up different ways to get revenue besides having to get it from donors that they don't have at the moment, or get it from attendance. Correct. They don't have. So they see that as a way to level the playing field, because they can try to raise money from a different avenue. So venue. Yeah. Well, yeah. So along those lines.
Probably the better word. Feel English, that's impossible.
You're an engineer. You're not supposed to English.
Yep.
You certainly can't spell. I mean, that's just
I cannot.
A prerequisite for being an engineer.
So, Chad's got the poll pulled up. We'll go through that quickly, because last year, I went back and watched last year's episode in preparation for this earlier this week. And last year, we went 12, 15 minutes before we started getting to the teams. And I thought that was entirely too much time. And here we sit 22 minutes in, and we haven't started talking about the teams yet. But anyhow, so the media poll came out. And if we want to go in reverse order, and like I said, we'll go in more detail here. Murray State came in 10th, Indiana State 9th, Northern Iowa 8th, UND 7th, Southern Illinois 6th, Youngstown 5th, Redbirds 4th, USD 3rd, but with the second most first place votes, which I found interesting because that meant several people had them 4th or 5th. The Jacks 2nd, and then the Bison, probably to no one's shock, 1st. Before we get to the team specific level, anything stand out to you guys on that list here?
I mean, it stands out that we are where we are based on the amount of turnover that we've had.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I could have seen if they would have tried to put us at 5, our fan base losing their mind, but it being justified.
Yeah, I think that's a testament to the reputation that SDSU's built as a program and where the program's at overall. I look at that, and having seen what they've done and talked to, been able to see their coach talk and everything else, I think UND might be a bit of a dark horse in this race. But overall, I think, gosh, probably 1 through, I don't know, 7. Yeah, I think that's going to be really that whole group, or maybe
Playoff
2 through
caliber
7.
teams.
A lot of playoff caliber teams. You're not going to get all of them. Not all of them are going to make it, and you know what? I'm okay with that. I think I've always been pretty outspoken that 7 out of 10 teams in a conference should not be in the playoffs. Like, that's not what the playoffs is for. It's not the Missouri Valley Football Invitational or the Big Sky Invitational, whatever. But I do think the teams that do make it are going to do some damage and are going to be really good. Pending injuries, I would probably personally move Southern Illinois up 2 or 3 spots. But as healthy as they are now, I think the argument should be between them and Illinois State more so than Youngstown State. Otherwise, yeah, like you said, it is an eyebrow raiser when you look deep into it with South Dakota, getting 3 first-place votes, but ending up in 3rd when we had none. That being said, again, it's a preseason poll, and it's not even worth wiping your hind end with, because
wipe your butt with it, as Rev always says.
Yeah, with the transfer portal, it's even less worth its weight now. So, I mean, honestly, besides guys like us being able to talk about them, they're nothing. They're only going to be less accurate for the rest of all time until the transfer portal either gets shut down or levels out hugely. So really, this isn't worth a lot besides being able to beat your chest and say, it's a preseason poll, we got this, and that's worth nothing. So,
you got anything to add there, Chad? Otherwise, I can piggyback off Brendan's point pretty easily here.
No, not much to add on that. Brendan hit the nail on the head. We really just don't know. I mean, we had tons of turnover at a lot of these teams. The only one that and they didn't come away unscathed is the number 1 team, right? I mean, they had a bunch of guys leave too, but they have some solid pieces coming back that we know of. We don't know what their quarterback's going to be. There are fans of the NDSU variety that think that the front runner that everybody else thinks isn't going to be the guy that ends up playing most of the year. We shall see. Their coach went out of the way to say, yeah, Cole Payton can throw the ball really well. Well,
yeah,
obviously not better than Cam. So, I mean, and Cam was a good thrower. So that doesn't mean he's not really good, but yeah. So I guess not too much.
Well, we'll get into the team segments here. We'll go in reverse order of the preseason poll. And as I pull this up here, good job, Alex. I already see the first error of the season. Forgot to put the win percentage in for the USD game. So slow clap on that one.
A hot start, baby.
Hey, this is not live on our website. There's time to fix it.
No, I was going to get to that at the end, but I guess we can do that now. There's anyone who's a fan of any of these teams, I've got UND, Youngstown, USD all lined up. Frazee had to back out, but I still think I got someone for NDSU, but I don't have it nailed down. If you're a fan of one of these teams and you are willing to help with the preseason preview for our blog, I would be very grateful, because that is a crap load of work that I otherwise have to do myself. But anyhow, so as we go through here, I've got the infamous model and what it thinks the odds of the win totals for each team, as well as the individual game odds going into the season here. I will add some of the databases the model aggregates off of have either not updated data yet. So there's going to be teams that are a lot higher than they should be. For example, SDSU is still the best team in the FCS on a lot of models, because even though they lost to NDSU in the semis last year, by the nature of both close losses and some other things here and there, if the computers got a vote like it was the BCS era, SDSU was the best team still at the end of the season last year. That's not Alex saying he agrees with that before we give everyone in the world bulletin board material. That is just the way the computers work. And then in that same vein, because the Jacks have been the best team in the last 5 years, go argue with someone else. It's true. They're waiting. They are going to get dropped a lot lower, or they're not going to get dropped as much. I mean, to say when you have this reset, and then to sum up my thoughts, the model does not have view and a roster turnover or things like that. So don't take this as gospel, like bulletin board material, like, oh, I mean, for example, we'll skip way ahead. If I click on the right screen, SDSU's favored in every game, and they are a 95% chance to win against Sac State. As much as I am a diehard fan of the Jackrabbits, if you ask me to take money on that right now, I'm going to bet they don't win every game this year, and I am not taking an implied spread of 27 in week 1. So,
well,
go ahead.
If I can help, computers aren't well connected because they don't have this season's data yet. So most of their data is coming off of last year's data.
A good way to sum my ramblings. Thank you, Brendan.
Yeah. So a lot of this is still based off of last season. Even if you lose a bunch of players and everything, the model, it's a computer. It can only go off of data it has. It doesn't have data from this year yet, so it's going to use last year's data. That leads to funky results, and that's why, like in the pick'em, I know I've got to try to build a lead on Alex's model the first 5 to 6 weeks of the year before it gets itself dialed in. So, anyways, if that makes sense.
Yes, Brendan summed it much better than I could. So that said, number 10 preseason poll, Murray State. What are your guys' thoughts? Looking at the schedule, over under, hearing the media day stuff. What's all our thoughts on Murray State here?
They got to sneak out at least one win, right?
Yeah, I credit to them. I know the 2 pay games, it's for their athletic department budget. We've had discussion about that before. I'll save us the Mensch Greenhouse rant timer, Brendan going off on how you don't schedule 2 FBS games in the Valley. But, ETSU and SELA, as you're out of conference games outside of the FBS, they're not scheduling cupcakes. I mean, those are 2 teams that are probably going to end the year on the playoff bubble.
Yeah, I was going to ask Coach Wright this, but it didn't seem it's hard to ask this without sounding like a dick. But I was going to ask just, how do you focus your team and judge progression when you're in a conference where, you came from the Ohio Valley. It's such a big jump. They could be twice as good as the year before and not win a game with this schedule because, like Zach says, brutal out of conference schedule. I don't see them winning ETSU or SLU. They're out of conference. I don't like their odds of being better than 0-4, to be honest. And then you look at their home slate, and it's Illinois State at home, SDSU at home, Southern Illinois, UND. Like, your winnable games are probably UNI and Indiana State, but those are on the road. And I don't think unless you catch somebody napping, you're really going to have a lot of success. I know Michael said, they're really good freshmen. They're still freshmen. And in this conference, freshmen, if you're starting more than 2, you're in trouble. I don't care if they are Alabama cast-offs or not. They're not all that good. They just aren't, and they're going to be young. They're not physically to that size that they need to be to take a beating for all these games because it's a brutal conference. If you had me bet and the overall under was half a game, I might bet the under. It's not because I don't think they'll be better. I just think that the conference is really good this year compared to last year. and all their winnable games are on the road at places that are honestly hard to win at. And it's silly, it might sound silly saying that about Indiana State, but it's such a weird Murray State might be kind of used to it. It's a similar atmosphere to Murray State from what I've seen, where it's not a packed crowd, so you got to kind of bring your own energy. But even UNI is still UNI in the dome. They're down, but I don't think they're losing to Murray at home down.
Yeah, I don't really have anything to piggyback off that too much, other than I was just going to say, talking with Coach Wright.
You're calling a beating Southern Illinois, Mike? Oh, buddy.
We'll get to SIU here, but like Chad said in the chat, SIU's, I think they're going to be stout this year. But Coach Wright knows what he's up against. I will absolutely give him that. What you'd expect, right? He's a guy with NFL experience. That was a heck of a coaching hire, especially getting a guy with his background and pedigree to go to a program that's kind of on the downswing, like Murray is right now. He's an awesome dude. I really enjoyed getting to hear him speak.
Yep.
He's really, really just a phenomenal dude. I don't know a better way to say that, so I won't. But he's very aware of the challenge. He spoke at length about how tough the Valley is. And once again, you're hearing a guy say that who has coached in the National Football League.
Mm-hmm.
Chad, you got anything to add before we move to the next team here?
I'll answer Seth's question. Seth's comments, what's the RV stand for? It stands for receives votes.
Yes, sorry.
Receiving.
The top 25 is the Hero Sports top 25, as that is the only preseason poll out thus far.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I understand that they took your quarterback, Mike, and that's your Super Bowl. But A, you've got 50, like over half of your team's freshmen. They don't know him. And B, boy, that's going to, I mean, I haven't looked at Southern Illinois' schedule to know if they have like a big game after that, but I don't think it's going to happen.
So with that, I think I clicked on the right screen again. We'll move on to Indiana State. Indiana State, kind of a team on the rise last year. It is true, Coach Wright has never experienced the grind of a SoCon schedule, Kevin.
A whole lot of nothing with that statement.
Anyhow, once again, pay no attention to Alex for getting to fill in a game. Southern Illinois again.
I feel like this is going to be a theme because that's the same spot for you.
It might be. But you made me lose my train of thought. Oh, team that was on the rise last year. It really stuck with me. If you listen to Blue Bloods MVFC preview, shout out Zach, who's in the chat tonight, and my good friend Timothy Rosario, as Brendan.
Your bromance.
Brendan likes to point out. But there's something Tim said that actually really stuck with me. Is
of course Tim said it.
Indiana State was probably a top 35 team last year, but they had to play a Valley schedule. I mean, honest to God. And you look at that, they're favored against Eastern Illinois, who was a bubble team last year. And then they're not favored again until they play Murray at home in week 13.
Yeah.
I mean, it goes to show how brutal the Valley is, but I don't know. I'm kind of curious to see what Indiana State does, because I mean, 5-7 is not like a high watermark for a lot of people, but that was really good last year. If you haven't checked out our interview with Elijah Owens, the Indiana State quarterback, he was awesome to talk to. He was the MVFC Newcomer of the Year last year. I was pleasantly surprised, I'll put it that way. He returned to Terre Haute. And I think he's going to be a lot of fun to watch this year. And I think if he takes another step, he will keep them in a lot of games they have no business otherwise being in this year.
Yeah. Well, in Indiana State, with SDSU connection, they've got our former associate athletic director
as their AD now.
As their AD. So he's been there 2 or 3 years now, I think. But no, other than that, I think you're right. The quarterback will keep them close enough in some games to cause a problem. I mean, honestly, if I look at a game for them to have a huge upset in, that I were to sprinkle some money on them having a huge upset, it's at Montana.
Yeah.
Without a doubt, because it's early season Montana, so they're going to be still starting 3 quarterbacks and pulling them after overthrows every play. So Hawk
Bobby's
going to have the offense just slogged down in a mud hole. So, I mean, the quarterback at Indiana State's good enough to pull out something out of his hat to get a touchdown or two and keep it close. And if you're close at the end of the game, who knows what happens? So I think that'd be worth sprinkling a little money on, or keeping an eye on what the spread's going to be. I can already see that being my spicy meatball. But other than that, man, they're in the boat that they're welcoming Murray State to the boat that Murray State's in right now, where you can get a lot better in this conference and not get better on the record. The win-loss column doesn't improve because you've got so far to go. And I thought they were kind of hitting a high water mark where they would be able to level out and kind of stay and occasionally be playoff competitive every couple of years, but be at least mediocre the other years. And they just dive bombed out after they made the playoffs a little while back. And now they're fighting back uphill again. It's got to be a tough gig if you're Coach Mallory there.
Yeah.
You're kind of fighting with one arm behind your back compared to some of the Valley schools. And yeah, I know the model says 4 wins. I would lean towards 3. Well, I would lean towards 3 personally.
So it says they're favored in 3, but just, the flip of the coin, they'll end up at 4.
They have the same issue Murray has besides having Murray at home. All their home games are USD, NDSU, Illinois State. Like,
you're going to lose those.
You're going to lose those. I mean, NDSU, granted, has almost lost there before. Anybody can lose there. UND almost lost or did lose there last year.
They did lose there last year.
So, it's it's the second longest road trip in the Valley. So that can play havoc with people, but I just don't think so. It's just going to be a tough year again unless they jump up and trip somebody up. They could ruin a season, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think Owens makes the offense is going to be fun to watch. I just, in a ground and pound, very defense savvy league, I'm worried about their front 7. It's going to be not good. Chad, you got any thoughts before we move on to the next game here? Or Brendan, anything you wanted to add to that?
I mean, we're just going to keep coming back to the fact that winning on the road in the Valley is critical to your success. And I don't see a favorable schedule for them.
Well, and let's be honest, winning on the road, Indiana State doesn't have to worry about winning on the road. They need to worry about winning at home, period, first. They just have to worry about winning. And I think that transition hits about the 7th in the conference mark.
All right, so up next will be the UNI Panthers. Pick 8th. An interesting team to watch this year. The big thing I took away from their presser is Coach Stepsis. I asked him directly. I said, are there any challenges that you have to deal with going from a Pioneer League to a scholarship league? And he gave a very good answer. Not that he wouldn't. And I don't know what else he'd even necessarily say. But, he said, it's all challenges and opportunities that you get to take on, head on. I think he's going to have some growing pains this year. The Utah Tech and Butler games at a conference certainly help. That helps them catch their stride going down the road here. But outside of Murray, especially since they miss Indiana State this year, I don't know that I see them finding their footing in conference just yet.
Yeah, I don't. It was kind of an odd press conference to me if I remember right, he was the only coach to have an opening statement.
No, they all did except for
Did they all?
Schmidt,
I just didn't
late.
notice.
Yes.
All right, maybe it was the
Yes.
one they announced for some reason.
No, they all did. The guy that was the
I didn't
MC asked
remember
them
that.
all too, other than Schmidt because he was late.
Okay. I guess I'm crazy, but so I take that back. It was kind of an odd vibe from him a little bit. Like it really was Ted Lasso-ish. Not that that's a bad thing, you know. He said some things, that I would definitely see Stig saying, but it was kind of in a different manner. Like he's like, my whole goal is just to be the best part of my player's day, and we don't care about wins and losses. It's like, I can't see that being super well received at Northern Iowa, but so that was interesting. Man, how this program's fallen, huh? You look at the schedule back in the day, and you'd be like, well, they'll probably beat UND on the road, but it'll be a really tough game. And then
they'll have a chance at Wyoming.
Yeah, they'll have a chance at Wyoming, and Eastern Washington will be a great game, but they should win that. It's in the Dome. They probably shut them down and win by 3 scores. And Utah Tech, that's like 85%, 100% win. And now we're looking at 87% for Butler, like not even 95% for Butler. Oh my God. Like that's crazy. They do have the Dome refresh getting finished up, so they will have purple seats instead of the Technicolor Dreamcoat they used to have for seats in there. So
all the more reason they should lose every game.
Well, it makes more sense. At least it'll look better this year.
Does purple look better? Anyway.
It doesn't look very D1.
It doesn't look carnival-y.
Not have your own colored seats in the place. That was always odd to me.
I mean, if your city owns your dome.
That's true. If your city owns your dome, then maybe, silly stuff happens. But otherwise,
throwing the barbs out 7 teams away. Jeez.
Right. No kidding. We're just throwing lawn darts. We're not even there. They get Murray at home. That's, they're still not, they're now in that position where you're like, hopefully their winnable games are at home so they can win them.
Right.
And, maybe UND still has their road woes issues.
Especially
I'm
with
kind of thinking,
coming off the bye.
Yeah.
We lost your audio.
Yeah.
Am I here now?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So I'm kind of thinking with having Coach Schmidt take over, maybe the road woes go away because Coach Bubba was there for a long time. So not saying it was his fault, but it could have been his fault. So I'm curious to see how that goes.
To leave.
Yeah. Right. He voluntarily was told to retire. But anyways, so I can see that being potentially winnable if they still have the road issues. They're not winning USD at home, but they'll win Murray, they'll win Youngstown. They should beat Utah Tech. Oh God, they should beat Utah Tech.
Right.
Butler and a toss-up. So yeah, I could see 4 or 5 wins there. As you're moving up through the preseason standings, you're starting to see more teams getting to 4 to 5 wins because they're probably going to win most of their home games. So, tough year for them. I think they're in more of a rebuild than anybody in the conference from where they were, in my opinion, with Farley leaving and Coach Stepp. I noticed they made a point to call him Coach Stepp because
sounds like a good plan.
I can imagine that would be if I was 18 to 20 years old, calling someone Coach Stepsis would be a little bit funky to me too. So that's a good name. I like.
Might be
Coach
worse
Stepp,
if you're
and I think I'm gonna stick with Coach Stepp. I like it. So,
Chad, what do you got for a move on here?
Change your colors from purple, and I'll cheer for you a little bit.
There you go. Chad, not a Vikings fan. So, already talked about it a little bit. That brings us to Coach Smith and UND. I've gone first the last couple. I should let one of you guys take a crack. What do you guys want to start out here?
Oh, this was a good pattern here, but I'll get after it. Why not? So anyways, for UND, I really could see him being the dark horse. I did like some of the things they've done over the offseason here. I think they could be dangerous. I do like their new head coach. I like that they're moving away from the 3-4. I think that's always been a Achilles heel of theirs for their defense there. At least that's what I believe was reported, right? I'm not off base with that.
Yeah, and they weren't even a true 3-4. They were like a 3-3-5.
Right.
Like
right.
Do they call it amoeba or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, amoeba.
Yeah, it was a funky thing, but it didn't. It wasn't great for the Valley.
I was just hoping we get another 10 years of Bubba. I really liked him.
Bubba Schweigert is a good dude, but it was time.
Yeah, it was just time. I think he was a good coach, but it was time. But you look at the schedule, I could see good things happening for him. They get NDSU at home. And I know NDSU fans are going to climb down my throat because it was one time, and I agree. But that has to be a positive for them. They do play.
It's 100% their Super Bowl.
100%, and I think they're willing to admit that even.
Oh yeah.
And honestly, people use that like a dig. I don't think it's a dig, really, personally, for teams if they've got a game that's a rivalry, that's their Super Bowl. Like, nobody makes fun of Michigan, Ohio State for that, but somehow it's making fun of everybody otherwise.
It's the unreciprocated rivalries because NDSU fans
Right.
are finally starting to admit the marker is their big rivalry, but here we are throwing darts again, but this time from only 6 teams away instead of 7.
I wasn't doing that. You guys started this. I'm just here, making open
You
commentary.
can just keep putting the blame on me.
Open
It's fine.
commentary, and you guys just can't help yourselves here. Jesus.
This is like B Team Light, so
Right. They do have NDSU and SDSU at home. So if you're a UND fan, you've got to like that a hell of a lot better than having both on the road.
Because they don't win games on the road.
Yeah, but, part of the issue there is you're at USD, you're at Southern Illinois. So those are tough. You're at Montana.
Who they did beat last year.
They did beat, which could be problematic.
Though.
Because I was at the Alaris, and I bet Montana remembers. So that's unhelpful for them. I could see them if they are good and end up clipping Montana right at the start of the year, going on a run. One thing UND is really good at is starting the year highly ranked. And they always end up hanging around the bubble. They won't get in, but I think they'll be on the bubble enough that their fans will lose their minds about not making it in, even though their AD is going to be the head of the committee this year.
I found that interesting. Sue. If you listened to Onheard or to Schmidt's press conference, he was hesitant to commit to saying, yeah, Renfro is going to be the starter. I know they brought in a couple transfers, and they have a pretty highly touted redshirt freshman, as well as totally drawn the name of the cat that left because of that said competition. Yeah, that'll be interesting to watch because I didn't think Renfro was great last year, but I think he did about everything you could ask of a true freshman quarterback in this league. So that'll just be interesting to follow. Anyone else have anything else? Wrap up here before we move on to the next team. Oh, I will say Malachi McNeil. So Coach Schmidt was late because of a separate obligation to the main press conference area. And Malachi McNeil, senior linebacker, handled the press conference himself for like the first 5-6 minutes and did a way better job than I would have done at 22 years old. I will give him all the props in the world. He's a very, very thoughtful, very well-spoken young man. And cool part about going to media day, it's like you find yourself cheering for every team or every player at least a little bit because they're all just so good to talk to.
Oh, sorry. Right.
He was an impressive young man handling not nearly the most stressful situation he'll be under, I'm sure, this year, but a stressful situation, you're probably not prepared for when you're him at that sort of function. And he handled it like a champ. So, no, it was, I'd feel real good to have him on my team if I was a UND fan.
Do we know where Simon Rumfro ended up?
Oh, he's still there.
He's still there. Okay, I thought you said he was the one that left. I was confused because I thought he still was there.
He's still there. Yep. But other than that, UND is just probably the least talked about Dakota team that had turnover in their roster. I'm sure the team is taking feels a certain sort of way about that overall, but they were definite fourth place of the Dakotas last year, and we'll see if they can go and change that this year.
Up next, we have Southern Illinois. So Southern Illinois obviously had all the injuries you could about ever imagine last year. And they looking to rebound this year. We got to spend some time with DJ Williams. I found it very interesting. He was, I don't want to say stiff, but he was a little bit closed off shelter during the press conferences. And Brendan and I caught him at the end there for some one-on-one time. And he was super personal, super friendly. So maybe he just doesn't do public speaking. I get that. I know a lot of people don't. This doesn't count because I'm just talking to my computer. All you people watching or pretend or listening later. But I think this is going to be an interesting team this year. Really like Coach Nick Hill. Brendan and I were dumb and didn't get it on video, but he stopped and talked to us for 5-10 minutes. It was very personable, very well spoken. I think it's going to be a good team this year. I think anyone that's writing them off just because of the injuries they had last year is a bit short-sighted.
Yeah, I mean, Coach Hill, great dude. He's been one of my favorite coaches in the conference for a long time now, and he's one of the longest tenured ones now at this point. Think he's really sharp. Really think injuries killed him last year. I think their potential's through the roof. And by the way, hey Dallas, what's up? You're here. You made it.
I'm here. I was sitting in my living room watching and thought, why not jump in? I was actually trying to pace you guys to see how long. Like, you were really slow to start, and I'm like, man, I don't know if I want any part of this. But it started to pick up a little bit, so I thought I'd jump in. That was basically my decision making. So
that's fair.
You jumped in. Far. You jumped in when you thought there was about an hour left.
That's sort of my decision making. Yes, correct.
I hope there's 30 minutes.
We're at damn near an hour already.
Right. Yeah.
Well, you get into, I mean, the top half of the conference obviously is a little more interesting to discuss than the bottom half anyway. I mean, that's not a knock against any particular teams, but that's, right about here's where, to me, when it starts to get interesting and there's some stuff to debate. And yeah, as Southern Illinois here, clearly the first thing that's going to come up, as Brendan discussed, is going to be the injuries from last year. And I think some people forgot how this team maybe could have played out. I mean, the quarterback was the biggest piece, but I don't know. In my mind, they had trouble fielding a team towards the end. They had so many injuries.
Yeah, right? They were on quarterback 4 when they came here with 2 weeks left in the season.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this team, these guys could make a serious splash, for lack of a better term. I wanted to talk about North Dakota a little bit, which is kind of what brought me down here. That's another team, and not to draw us back, we don't have to move backwards here. But with the exposure I've had to that team here over the last few months, I am a firm believer that the North Dakota Fighting Hawks could be a problem very quickly. Like, this is a team, if I'm going to pick one team out of the conference to steal a couple games that they're, quote unquote, not supposed to win, it's going to be North Dakota. I fully believe in what that coaching staff is selling and what they're doing. And and Alex, I might have missed when I ran down here, but as we've discussed in kind of our group chat, I think we overestimated what happened to them last year a little bit, right? Like,
Yeah.
you know, it was pretty well documented that they had a light schedule early, and they beat a Montana team that was horribly overrated early in the season, and that's not their fault that they beat them. But then the rest of the games that they did drop, a lot of those could have gone either way. So this is another team that I think could jump up and really surprise people.
Yeah, it's a good point. When you go look at how the next year is going to go, if you've got a team that brings back a fair amount of guys and they were in a bunch of close games they lost, that's a really good indicator that they're going to cause some havoc the next year.
Yep, correct. And I'm sorry, you might have covered all this. I
totally
coming
forgot.
down. So I wanted to make sure that like this is more me going on record. If this happens, I'm going to call back to this earlier. Like North Dakota, this team is going to be a problem in the next couple of years. I 100% write it down. These guys are going in the right direction.
No, I'm glad you brought that up because I totally forgot. Anything to wrap up before we jump back to the Salukis here?
No, I don't have anything else. Again, sorry for bringing it backwards, and let's
No, you're
talk
fine.
Saluki
It's
dogs.
Kevin in the chat says right about here's where y'all discover your league only has 3 good teams. He must be confused. We're not talking about the SoCon.
I knew that was coming.
It's too easy. You put it on a team.
But they play each other every year.
Yeah, I mean, I had a myself joke, but I'm gonna let that go.
Do we get out the Mensch Greenhouse's timer right about now?
Yeah, no. That was just gonna be an off-color joke. That's not.
Oh.
Was it my turn to go on Southern Illinois? Is that where we were at?
Yeah, that's where we're at.
No, you look at the schedule. Obviously, I think they're gonna destroy Thomas More. Purdue, I really think they could win that game. UT Martin, I don't think. I think they're gonna do some pretty fun things. UT Martin, even though UT Martin has been a solid program of late. SEMO's a rivalry game for them.
War for the wheel. Such a
War
cool
of the Wheel,
rivalry.
yeah, it's a great
The
rivalry.
War of the Wheel. So they play for the big steering wheel from a riverboat. So that one's a cool one. That'll be a fun one to watch.
Brendan, what does it do if they beat Purdue? Purdue, by all accounts, is going to be the Kent State of the Power Four this year. I mean, Purdue is supposed to be god awful. I mean, like
Kansas bad,
historically bad. And if this team comes back, they rebound from a bunch of injuries, and the team buys in, and again, Nick Hill's a great coach. Like, this is going to shape their season if they can perform there.
Well, I think it's huge from the perspective of you're playing a D2, right? In a 12-game season, which, if you're going to a 12-game season was probably used to be the time, but now it's 12 games every year. I think what it does do is make you feel a lot more comfortable about making the playoffs, because anytime you can flop a FBS win down on the table, much less a Power 5 FBS win on the table, whether it comes to getting a seed or making the playoffs, it's a huge trump card against anybody who has a really similar resume. So I think that'll be massive. I think for the polls, they will rocket up the polls because people are going to remember, oh yeah, this was the team that was like top 5, top 8 last year, until injuries destroyed them and they brought most people back. So yeah, I think it'll be huge for them. But like Coach Spack said, hey, we beat those teams before. I think they beat. Did they have an FBS win last year, or was it a couple years ago?
It's 2 years ago. Because they beat someone.
Northern
Illinois.
Yep. So they've got a history, or not SPAC. Jeez, Coach Hill.
Yes, thank you. I was
SPAC.
I was putting it in the private
Coach
chat.
Hill. Yeah, no, SPAC, not SPAC, not the stash. No, it was Coach Hill. So yeah, I absolutely can see him beating Purdue, and I think that'll be huge for them. Obviously, when it comes to conference swag, which some people love to have, it's huge for the conference when any of your teams knock off a FBS team in the out of conference. It just looks a lot better for the whole conference as a whole. They do have a solid out of conference, really. If you obviously take a dig at them for a D2 game, but UT Martin's a solid get. And then SEMO's a solid get. The only thing I have a knock against that is that's 3 road games in a row, and you're out of conference when you could have got at least one of them at home, you'd hope. But apparently
Right.
that's not the way the chips fell. Like I said at the beginning, I think they should be up with Illinois State, if not above Illinois State, in my personal opinion, for this poll. I think they're going to be really good. The only, if you're going to flip a coin between Illinois State and them, they are playing at Illinois State. So, you can give the nod to Illinois State there in theory. They're at NDSU. They skip SDSU, though. And so, I don't know. I think they're going to be good this year. I could see them having a top 8 seed type of season.
Yeah, I could see them winning all but 3 games, pretty much.
I mean, it's really the trifecta that's going to be interesting is Youngstown, and Illinois State. It's one of those 3 is going to surface, and I have no clue which one at this point.
Throw UND in the mix. Yeah.
Yeah,
You good to move on to Youngstown here?
let's do it.
Yep.
So I have anyone looking on screen, anyone listening to audio, Youngstown State on our chart has a 95.5% to win 6 games. I have checked the math like 10 times. That's correct. Just it's a wild variance of the way their schedule shook out. The games they are supposed to win, they're supposed to win by a lot. The games they're supposed to lose by a lot. They got 2 kind of close, 3, I guess we count UNI, close ones with Southern Illinois, Townsend, and UNI. It's different. They bring back Bo Brungard.
Stud.
Yeah,
Stud.
super mobile. I mean, can do a lot of things, and brings back scary memories of mobile players like that have gashed the Jacks in the past. Which is funny because of how like you said, Alex, your model. It's the teams are supposed to beat, they should kill, and the teams are going to lose to. But if there's one team in the conference that's going to pull one game out of their ass every year, it's freaking Youngstown. They do it every year.
Tom Zach graduated, right?
I think he has 1 year left this year. I'll Google it quick.
I'm trying to see here, too. List him as 2024 as a junior. So I don't know if that's a...
I just Googled Tom Zach and got his dad.
Yeah, you got to type in YSU.
I should type in Max first. No, Max Tom Zach is back this year, so that's big.
Yes, so that's huge.
Someone to throw to.
Is this the last? By the way, is this is the last year of official COVID years, right? Like after this,
gotta be right. Like
It's
that's
after
all
this,
he
you have
does
a
there.
COVID year and a medical year stacked on top of
Yeah.
that if you're still around.
I mean, so at this point, like the NCAA couldn't win a lawsuit against a wet paper bag, but for the most part, years will be actual years after 2025.
Generally, yeah.
Okay, cool. I'm excited for this.
Yep. I will say, looking at their schedule, if you're Youngstown State, if you're going to face SDSU, you want to face them at home and early in the season.
And so did anyone else talk or listen to the Youngstown guys podcast? I sent the group chat. I get along with those guys. They had some good, some bad.
I like him, but no, I didn't listen.
They were kind of infighting because Sal and Kyle Searle. Sal's kind of the guy who leads the podcast group. Kyle Searle was an All-American lineman for them. So Sal said they're going to lose to Illinois State but beat the Jacks. And Searle said, how are you going to say we're going to lose to a team that we're kind of split with every other year the last 10 years when we lost to them last year? Then you're going to turn around and say we're going to beat a team that we haven't beat since 2016. It was a little bit of a funny conversation if you go back and laugh. But I do kind of agree with some of their commentary there of if you had to pick a time to get the Jacks, you get them at home coming out of a non-conference bye. I think that could be a little bit of a tough game for us.
Yeah, I'd agree.
If you're looking at this from a Jacks fan perspective.
Yeah, that's not a terrible take. because you got Illinois State, and we don't know what they're going to be until midpoint of the season, which is you're going to face them, and they're at Illinois State. And yeah, again, like the Jacks, we'll get to SDSU when we get to them, but early in the season, like this is the Jacks team is going to be figuring shit out as they go along. You know, there's a lot of things to go ahead.
No, keep going.
No, I mean, that's really what it is. Like, so I don't hate their logic because, like Alex said, if you're going to get the Jacks, you get them early. They're still trying to figure stuff out. Youngstown's got to bye. They're at home. They're excited. Like, you know, they're kicking off the conference slate. Like, and again, this is a team that every year they pull one game out of their ass. At least I'd have to go back and look, but it feels that way to me for Youngstown. So,
especially in the Ice Castle. Longest road trip on the schedule. You know, so that's definitely there. I actually went and asked, that's the question I actually asked Tim Polasek was, would you rather face a team like a South Dakota State or South Dakota that has a new coaching staff and a bunch of turmoil? Would you rather face them early in the year, you know, when they're still getting rounded into shape and are all kind of new, or would you rather get them late in the year when you've seen all their schemes and can see how they're going to run it? And he had hesitation, said, I want to face them early in the year before they start clicking. So that's a big thing for them. I would not be stunned if I would not put that game at 5.3%. I'll put it that way. I'd put it at 30 to 45%, just with everything surrounding that. I mean, you're catching them. You've got 4 games of film on them there, but also they're still kind of gelling. So I like the chances there overall. You know, your home games, you have to go to NDSU, to Illinois State, to UND. That's tough. You know, you'd probably rather have more. You'd probably rather, if I was them, I'd rather flip those road games with the home games for your best chance of success overall. But that's just my personal opinion. I'd rather be at SDSU and Southern Illinois and then have those 3 teams at home and then, you know, and then at Indiana State, you know, you're trading Indiana State for UND at home. I'd do that. But otherwise, you know, I think you're pretty spot on with the 6 wins. Towson's supposed to be pretty salty, I guess, so that'll be a good litmus test. And I think they're going to take it out on Mercyhurst and Robert Morris after they're out of conference last year. So,
yeah, who'd they lose to that they should not have? I should have looked this up before we get on.
It was an NEC team. Was it Robert Morris? I feel like they play him every year.
No, who was that? Was it a?
It was an NEC team. I'm pulling up their 2024 schedule. Said should have been more prepared. I apologize.
The two, well, he's looking. The 2 on the schedule that blow my mind, the way you've got this laid out, Alex, is
Duquesne. They lost to freaking Duquesne last year.
Who has dude? I want to watch. I so want to see a game at Duquesne's stadium with that crazy, like, it looks like a 4-H camp thing.
Yeah, like the corral.
Yeah, it's so cool in the middle, like this wooden weird like box. I don't know. I think it's awesome. I want to go there. But the thing I wanted to point out that's bizarre to me is you've got a 45% chance at Southern Illinois, who I'm quite high on or could be, and 45% at UNI, who, my God, if UNI isn't packing it in by the end of the season, I have no idea what's going on.
Well, the computer doesn't know that.
I know that. I'm just saying, like, if we're going to point out what doesn't feel like it makes sense.
I got you. Yeah, their guys talked about that. They traditionally have not played well in Cedar Falls, but like you said, they might be thinking about turning equipment already if they're not in playoff tension. This could be a Youngstown team on the playoff bubble. I know they've said they've had some of the UNI gremlins, as it feels like we all have in the Unidome, but I feel like this is a year they got to win that game.
Yep.
Yeah. Never in all my days would I expect Kevin Marshall to be standing
beating the drum for St. Francis.
St. Francis.
He's just a contrarian at this point.
Yep.
And that's why we love you, Kev. All right. Anything else before we move on to the Redbirds here?
Next.
Next.
sticky keys.
Jeez, you're spoiler alert.
Googling with Alex.
Right.
Where's
Talking
Alex's
about
browser history? Good thing you're just sharing the
stepsis over here.
screen. Stepsis sounds like something you get from a dirty locker room. There, I said it.
Sepsis. That's inside you.
So up next is the Illinois State Redbirds pick to finish 4th in the conference. And, some people are talking about, oh my gosh, they're number 7 in the way too early preseason poll. But think about it this way. If it was any other, nameless, faceless, any other team, any other opponent, you're bringing back a quarterback with 3-year starting experience. You're bringing back an All-American wide receiver. You're bringing back an All-American running back who missed all of last year with an injury. You're bringing back a couple solid D linemen. Why would this not be a top 10 team? Just my opinion. Oh, by the way, if you go back and listen to our media day interviews, you know who every other quarterback, because ironically enough, we didn't get to talk to Tommy Rittenhouse. You know who every other quarterback in the Valley said they think the best quarterback in the Valley is? Tommy Rittenhouse.
Yep.
Which I thought was a bit shocking, but I don't know. I think getting Mason King back is going to give this team a lot of juice. Obviously, we know what Rittenhouse is. They're a really good receiver whose name I'm totally drawing a blank on, but he'll be back. And I think
that's
Sobkowitz. Yes, thank you. Daniel Sobkowitz. He's
Samsonite. I was way off.
Yeah. Daniel Sobkowitz is back for one more go. And similar to Brendan, I'm sitting there trying to think how not to ask my question like an idiot. And thankfully one of the local Normal Illinois media did. They asked Brock Spack, they said, normally you're a very defensive-minded coach, defensive-minded team, and you weren't last year, They weren't bad, but they were giving up, high 20s points a game, 400 yards a game. Not what you'd expect out of a Brock Spack-led unit. And he said, yeah, no, we weren't up to standard. And he said he's really excited about their front 7. What did he say, Brendan? They've got 5 or 6 guys in that joker, because they do run a 3-4 still. Yep. That joker, outside linebacker, kind of their pass rush specialist. He said he feels they have 6 or 7 guys, or 5 or 6. You maybe remember the number better than I do. Long story short, he felt they were 3 deep and then some at that spot to where they can get really crazy pass rush packages this year and really help take some of the strain off their secondary. He felt that was part of their issue last year.
Well, I think it was the player
Jake Anderson, who's one of their interior D linemen. And his head looked like it. I mean, he is.
Yeah, he talked like it.
Yeah.
And Spack made sure to mention that, hey, he is a 4.0 student, but boy, he had a cadence to his speech that made you think otherwise.
What a cool part of this media day, by the way. And I mean, bravo to you guys for what you did. But God, that was fun to get to know some of the players a little bit.
Absolutely.
Yeah, super cool. It was super cool. But yeah, listening to him talk, you're like, yeah, you're on the defense.
That's why you on defense.
No, but I think he made the comment that this is the best group of pass rushers he's ever played with, which was interesting. If I remember hearing, I believe he said that
2 years ago. Zeke Vandenbaugh, who's now at the Dolphins. I mean,
yeah,
you remember?
Yeah, that guy is
nightmares.
I was trying to not bring him up again. I haven't seen many defensive players that control the game. That guy was unbelievable. That is the best defensive player I've ever watched live play football. God, he was good.
He was unreal. Yeah,
yep.
He was free.
Danny Batten-esque.
Danny Batten's unbelievable, but it was like
a different position too.
Up, so he controlled every play, is what it felt like. That guy was so good.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but I wanted to bring up week 13. The Redbirds facing off against Southern Illinois. This could be, honestly, the most outside of the marker game, the most entertaining game in the Valley this year.
Yeah,
it's possible that that's going to be for a playoff spot, and 2 teams
or a top 8 seed.
Yeah, I was gonna say
or even a
probably
top 10
higher
team.
than
It could be
that.
both, right? Like, I mean, I'm excited for that one. That could be fun.
Yeah, it should be a ton of fun. What a way for them to end the season. I mean, talk about a make or break stretch at SDSU and then Southern Illinois. Looking at this, I could see them thinking seed, come week 12. And then that at SDSU, at Southern Illinois could be make or break for the end of the year. So that's going to be really interesting to see how that
talk
goes.
about 2 huge games to end your season if you're Brock Spack.
Mm-hmm.
And Brookings, rivalry game at home. It's probably going to be a ranked matchup.
I mean, you're going to be sitting at 7 wins going to Brookings week 12, right? So let's see here.
Yep.
We're at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yeah.
Maybe even 8 if they pull up an upset in Vermilion. I don't think that's impossible.
No, it's not impossible. I'm really curious what USD ends up looking like here, but yeah, I feel like we talk about this every year. There's always like 2 teams, and it's typically Southern Illinois, Illinois State. We're like, oh man, they could be like a quarterfinal team, but we don't know what's going to happen until the chips all fall.
Well, my only thing off that is you have to keep in mind they were a round of 16 team last year. You use Chad and I's wrestling speak, second round, I guess, if you want to use football speak.
Yeah.
And they bring back 19 starters.
That's incredible.
That's a lot. Okay.
And there ain't a person here that doesn't respect Brock Spack as a coach.
That's
right?
a bit. No, I like Brock Spack a lot. That's a lot of starters, dude.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I'm
Good
bought
thing
in.
that work
I am now
13's
circling.
not on Flow Sports.
I am now circling week 12 on the schedule. Oof. Okay.
Yeah, that's going to be a big one. And what was interesting, I asked Coach Spack directly because I've been on record saying that that's not a good look for the Valley. It looks like Illinois State has money problems when they are foregoing the first round of the playoffs to have to host the state championships for Illinois. And I asked Coach Spack about that. I was just asking, does it bring up the urgency to, get a bye the first round or whatever? And he came out as very, very adamant that this was his choice and he wanted this in the worst way because he's from that area and he moved away. He's coached in the Big Ten and all that stuff. And when he came back, he was shocked that they weren't still hosting the state championships in Normal. And he wanted that. And he said he politicked for years to get that moved back.
Oh, interesting.
So he's the why that we were wondering about.
No,
they came up and asked him, they're like, are you sure, coach? Because are you okay with being on the road in the first round? And he's like, hell yeah, I want the state championships back in Normal.
Well, if you want the best in-state talent, that's one way to showcase it.
I don't hate that answer.
That's what he said his big driving force was. He said, a lot of guys he played with growing up or recruited early on, it's they remember playing there, and obviously that led to a positive experience. And then if they weren't able to go to the A4 level, I want to go to Illinois State.
And it's not a shitty dome, so there's that.
It is a nice stadium.
Yeah, it looks like a nice. I've always wanted to go there. I've not been to Normal, but it looks like a nice place.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was really an interesting answer. And I wasn't even necessarily asking that, but he right away, he was itching to tell that story, I think.
Yeah, I think he was almost surprised that it had taken till now and some guy from South Dakota to ask that question.
He's like, whoever the hell Jackrabbit Illustrated is.
He knows you now.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
He was so excited he cut off the end of my question.
What are you going to say, Dallas?
No, I just asked anything else with the Redbirds, or are we moving on?
Nope. No, I think it's an exciting team next year. I really do.
It really could be.
Next,
we have...
Next.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully they're overrated. Next.
We've got the team from Vermilion. We've got USD. They, best season in program history last year. They even, went and got some vending machine rings to celebrate it. They're going to be good.
Just want to end. We're just itching to end up on a hype video at this
I'm
point.
just curious if they're going to hang a banner too.
Between your damn model with the percentages it gave us, and now this shit, we're itching to end up on someone's goddamn intro.
This is
I just want to be like my heroes, Joe and Sean.
Oh no!
Oh my! You should shoot higher for those heroes.
No,
I think we got to bring him back this year, huh?
I think it's going to be a very interesting team. Obviously, you have Bauman and Charles Pierre, and you put those two guys on any roster in this country, and it's going to make it a salty team.
Yep.
I think the big question mark, obviously, is in the trenches on both sides. All the talent they had leave. That's in a very physical league. That's going to be interesting. You know, that's really what's. They got that skill talent still. But that's what's going to separate them from being a top level versus a playoff bubble first, second round team. I think the one thing that I kind of had Travis Johansson shoot daggers at me through, which wasn't even my original question. But I think Josh Davis leaving is a bigger deal than they're making it.
Yep. Exactly.
You know, I asked a different question and Johansson almost answered that one. I don't know if he just thought I was an SDSU guy, so that's what I was after. But that's kind of what he started talking about. And he was very adamant that, Davis got to pick his staff and these guys were on Davis's staff, which okay, but they're not in that direct Eidsness lineage. My opinion, and I'll be very curious what that offense looks like. I think JD did a lot of good for him, and I'm not just saying that because JD is a SDSU guy.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. To us, JD's dead to us. So,
hey, he's a friend of mine. Let's.
Dallas' teammate Phil Tennyson regularly.
I was saying, was he a friend for the last couple of years? Or
yes, I text him a lot. Honestly, he'll answer if I call him right now.
Who do they got to throw the ball to?
He's alive.
These names
back.
Well, all right. So before we jump on all this, who do they shit? You can say the same shit about us.
Oh yeah, I know for sure.
Then let's not be ridiculous about.
Well, I'm just asking.
We do it every time they come up, and we don't do that shit to ourselves. I'm just saying if we're gonna
Jack
be fair
Martin's
in the
back.
way we talk
Jack
about
Martin's is a very good receiver. He's back. They did lose.
Isn't Bryant a returner? I think
Bryant,
he is. He's a junior.
I'd say we should talk like that if we were Coyote podcast, and we're not. So
I would.
I mean, they lose JD, and that's why I said that. So
okay,
no, that's fair because
you've
got that sort of consistency in the coaching staff is going to help smooth out losing guys in your skill positions, right? Like that's a legit thing. This is going to be a very good team, and when you've got the two skill guys you mentioned, you got a quarterback as good as Bauman is, you're probably going to be pretty damn good, and you're going to be favored in pretty much every game you play. To me, this feels like you've got a quarterback that's that good because he is, and you lose a bunch in the line. Like, you probably can absorb some of that. They brought some guys in. This is going to be a team that very much will live and die with the number of injuries they have, because they probably have enough coming in to weather the storm and let Bauman get them past that, because again, Bauman's freaking good. But if they have 2, 3, 4 injuries at bad times, I don't think they can come back from that offensively. Defense, I really haven't paid close enough attention to them to know how they're going to be, but they're going to score a bunch of freaking points.
Nate Yule's back. He's a really good linebacker.
Is he first team All-American? He's like really good, right?
He's second team preseason All-American, I want to say. They lost, obviously the big one's Mikey's Grace. We saw how he, if not for a missed field goal flipped that game on its head against us. That was huge. Gary Bryant graduated, or no, is he back or did he graduate? No, he graduated. So that's a big loss. But Johansson's the defensive coach. I think he'll have the defense coached up to where, they maybe don't have some of that star power, but they're still going to be disciplined. They maybe go from a 15 points a game defense to a 20 points a game defense just because their gap sound, they do their jobs, and that's still very good with the level of offense they're going to have.
Well, you can. I feel like you can.
Have Cooper DeJean's brother.
Yeah, but he's a freshman this year. I don't think he'll play.
Oh, I mean, you can just in very general football terms, like you can scheme your way to a solid defensive performance without the ponies versus what you can do on offense. You have to have firepower, but to me on defense, like if you've got a brilliant defensive play caller, you can make up for that, right?
And a team that really swarms the football. I think that's important here too. So, I mean, you can have a no-name defense. We've seen it before.
Yeah, 100%. That's exactly what I'm getting at. So I think these guys are going to be good. If they have a couple of injuries on their O-line, I think they're going to struggle to possess and maintain possession on offense.
See, I think if you were to lose offensive line like they did and, have questions at wide receiver like they do, you want a veteran quarterback because I think a veteran quarterback can cover up a lot of warts, be it in protection by reading where blitzes and pressure is going to come from because he's got that experience, getting into the right checks, getting into those right things, putting the ball in places that the receiver can make plays and all those sort of things. I think Bauman, while he's not that mobile, and I would love his lack of mobility to be a massive heartache for them. I think he has enough experience playing behind a bad offensive line. If you remember,
2
years ago. Yep.
He's been there, done that. Except now he's 2 years down the road of experience and knowing how to orchestrate an offense. So I think that's a huge plus for them.
And then there was talk at Media Day about him improving his physical, right? Like, I mean, he's changed his body lean. Type, right? Yeah.
Brendan, we should probably include that. Brendan and I got to talk to him. He is outstanding young man to talk to, as always. Made time for us despite being, jackasses that wear blue. And was very respectful, very just great guy to talk to. He does look leaner. How much is speed something you can teach? I don't know. Right. I think he looks leaner. I think that won't hurt. I still don't think we're going to see him scrambling for 20 yards. But I will say
all you need to do is get a few, though.
Sometimes you only need to get a few, and I will say
just not get sacked, right? Like forget like number of rushing yards. It's like just don't get sacked.
So that's where I was going. I don't remember if it was McKinnell or Rosario that brought it up on one of their 2 MVFC preview episodes.
Oh, it had to be your boyfriend.
Shut up. But if you go back to like that, mid to late 2000s, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, like he has the quickest release time in the FCS. Like he gets the ball out very quickly. So even if you get pressure, he is very hard to take down just by virtue of he's very good at processing the defense quickly, and that ball comes out.
Yep. And that makes up for a lot of issues.
It does. And you look at this team schedule, and they have outside of if you're a Dakota school, you play all the toughest teams. So that's not an advantage. But beyond that, these guys have the best schedule. So they're at NDSU, which I think they'll get absolutely demolished. But other than that, they've got the Jacks at home. They've got UND at home week 10, which UND could very well be playing for a playoff spot at that point. But they'll be in the stupid wastewater treatment center in Vermilion, right? They've got Illinois State at home, who, again, is going to be playing for a playoff spot. They've got the Jacks at home. So really, other than being at Southern Illinois, week 12, which could be a challenge because again, I also think they're going to be playing for a playoff spot or maybe a seed. This is a very favorable schedule for the Yotes.
And the one thing I'll add is what is, I know they kind of got burned with the Portland State deal last year. That was kind of crap, but what is this out of conference scheduling? Like, Iowa State's obviously very tough, and that's a cool story with Aiden Bauman going back to Ames.
Exactly.
Yep.
Let's talk about that. Are they going to challenge? Like, Iowa State is a good freaking team, but are they going to challenge them for 3 quarters? They could.
It depends on how hungover they are coming back from Ireland, because that's the other part you got to consider. In that.
Oh, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This.
Good point.
Yep. That could be.
That's an interesting game, but then where I was going with it is, okay, Lamar's not a complete pushover. I know 95% because they're not that good, but Lamar has contended in the Southland in the last couple of years. But really, Northern Colorado, Drake, like what are we doing here?
That's nobody and nobody. Then they play NDSU. So they
I-
got 2 weeks to warm up for them.
I don't hate that. If we're going to say the Missouri Valley is the SEC or whatever of the FCS, like play pushovers in your non, like you don't have to have some flashy win. Like, yes, I love that we're going to Bozeman because that's cool and that's exciting as a fan, but to make the playoffs and like you don't have to have that.
Yeah, that's true.
Yep. I'm with you, Dallas. Here's my theory. Here's my scheduling thought process of how teams should schedule for the out of conference. If you are an established program with reputation, been to the playoffs, gotten seeds, that sort of thing, you don't need to challenge yourself in the out of conference. And if you're in a conference like the Missouri Valley Football Conference, there's no reason to go out of your mind scheduling difficult games. So if you've got one FBS game, great. If you can, get a good FBS or good FCS team if you don't have an FBS game, and otherwise make it a cakewalk. We saw that happen to NDSU one year where they overscheduled the shit out of themselves. They had like Eastern Washington, and they played at Montana State, and they played at whatever.
They had some good SoCon team at home anyhow.
Yeah. No, it's a mediocre SoCon team, but they won the SoCon. No, actually, I called when that game was going to be close, but that's a whole different story. Anyways, it doesn't matter. I won $40 off that game, but from an NDSU fan. But no, that if you're a small if you either don't have a reputation for making the playoffs, or you're in a small conference that needs to build their cred and build a resume for the playoffs that doesn't have a bunch of strong teams, then you schedule out of your mind. If you're Incarnate Word, you schedule your balls off in the out of conference. If you're Sela, schedule your balls off in the out of conference. If you're
Citadel,
Eastern Kentucky, Citadel. Well, no, we're talking about teams that make the playoffs. Eastern Kentucky. Sorry, Kevin. I just can't.
Bud.
But Eastern Kentucky, those sort of teams, you have to challenge. If you want a good seed, challenge yourself in the out of conference. Doesn't necessarily have to be NDSU, SDSU, but schedule good Valley teams, good Big Sky teams. So that's my thought process of scheduling. So I don't have a huge issue with it. It's all FCS teams and an FBS. As long as you're not doing like 2 D2 teams or something, I don't have a huge issue with it. And it gets harder and harder to get home and homes the more you win in this division. It just is.
Yep.
Next.
Got anything else here?
Nope. Very curious to see how the Yotes do. I mean, they could be an excellent team this year.
I think taking care of the ball will be big for them. But
so, you got the Jacks. How much? I don't know personally, especially we're already kind of along how in depth we want to get here because we got all tons of content coming up here. But
Kevin, he's too nice to me in person because I give him shit all the time, and he's always super nice to me.
And we like to give him a hard time for the people that are new to this.
If you want to follow FCS Nation Radio on Twitter, he is starting to get a little chippy with North Dakota State. It's very entertaining, and I highly recommend you follow it.
Oh, he's going to be a gas. It's going to get worse as it leads up to this.
I know. I
to that game.
can't
It's gonna be
wait.
hilarious.
But how quiet will he
can't
be
wait.
the week after?
Oh, I'm gonna. I don't know. I've never
He'll
been a
show-
Citadel fan, but I am that week.
He'll
He'll
still
give
show up.
credit where credit's due. He's good
Yep.
at that.
Kev's the guy. He will always show up and take his beating after he's talk.
No, it's fun.
So, do we want to jump ahead and maybe talk about that matchup a little bit? But because we got offense preview next week, defense week after, I might be flipped on that. But we got
All right, so-
we got Jack's content coming. I will just say on the media day, it was good to talk to Kobe and Sam. Didn't get to catch
Yep.
Coach, but Kobe and Sam, super well spoken for ourselves. We got those brief interviews up.
And
Anyone
look,
have anything brief?
Okay,
Want to touch on the home team? Sorry, I
dude.
keep
Okay,
cutting you off.
no, Kobe has a career in broadcasting ahead of him if he wants it.
Yes.
He is so well spoken. Kobe is so good. 100%. If that dude wants to be a national broadcaster, Kobe Claiborne can be a national broadcaster. I love the way, like, he's good. I like him a lot.
Well, evidently, he wants to go into coaching, which is I think he'll be great at that too.
Also awesome. But he is so like dude presents himself very well. I think the only thing to me, it's worth covering just with the model. Okay, so, I mean, Jack's our favorite in every game. At Montana State is the lowest.
Which is some carryover from last year. I think
is.
when
I
you
I'm
mean,
surprised
updated
it's not
numbers.
week 9, but
That's what carries all this, and I don't know what to think about that. To me, like, and we'll talk about this again more in the coming weeks. Like the Jacks, if you're, and I get, like, if you're in the locker room, like, we're 1-0 every week, cool. I'm not in the locker room. To me, if you can come out of Sac State and Montana State 1-1, you've got 6 freaking weeks to get right. And this is probably bulletin board material for somebody, but just reading through this for anybody that's not looking at the screen. So you got Sac State, Montana State. God, I can't wait. Honestly, I might be the most excited for those 2 games all season, even outside of the marker. Like that's those would be so fun. No,
there he is.
What?
He was
Am
fine
I the
for
only one
me.
who lost Dallas?
Yeah.
Oh, never
yeah,
mind.
you're
Oh,
the
no.
only one.
My bad. Sorry. You were
Okay,
fine.
so go. I'm sorry. I was ranting there for a minute. You could have set the time.
Mensch greenhouse rant.
Yeah, exactly. So let me rant about the schedule here. But okay, so you got the first 2 weeks. That's Sac State, Montana State. So excited for those. And then you've got Drake. You've got a bye. Mercyhurst, Youngstown, which I
That's
don't think
bye.
is gonna cause a problem. UNI, Murray State. 6 weeks to get shit right with this team that's got all new coaches and a whole bunch of new players. Like, I don't know. This is a weird schedule with the way this is set up. So to me, if you go 1-1 out of that, we're in good shape.
Yeah, I think the moral of the story, Dallas, is nobody should, in asteroid world-ending NDSU scenario, you start 0-2. Nobody start jumping off of bridges. Like, there's plenty of time to get the season right.
There is.
If that happens.
I fully believe, like, this is a team. Like, do I believe they could run the table? Yes. Do I believe they could lose the first 2 games because it's 40% new players and 100% new coaches? Yes. Like, if you have a job, you know how, like, no matter what career field, whatever field you're in, how hard it is if you have all new people. Like, it just takes time.
This is a great schedule, as you're pointing out, to have the team that we have coming together and trying to gel. We'll know who this team is come week 3, like where they're going to end up, likely. I mean, if you win those 2, you're set for the season, probably.
Yeah, I could see on the flip side too, though. If you lose or you go 1-1, like, that's not the team they're going to be week 10. Because there's, like Dallas said, there's so many new people. If ideally, I would flip Sac State and Montana State with Drake and Mercyhurst.
Right. I'm just saying where we're going to end up record-wise. We'll have a pretty good idea.
I mean,
yeah,
you get through, like, it's going to take time to figure this team out. I assume that's not a shot at anything. Like, it's just going to take a little bit. I think both of our lines are going to be extremely good. So, like, to me, we've seen over and over again that that's what it takes to win at FCS football. Is if you've got very good offensive, defensive lines, you're going to be fine. Like you'll figure it out. So you get through that. And then you get, okay, we got the Bison at home. Then you've got a break in between NDSU and USD, which we haven't had in the past. We've had
Like
those
3
those
years.
3 years.
fucking games back to back, which is bullshit. So thank you
Yeah.
for throwing the trees in between there. That's huge. But then those last two, I mean, okay, Illinois State at home again. We've talked about they're probably fighting for a playoff spot, maybe a seed, and then at UND, which I'm not trying to sound like a giant UND fan here today on this pod. Arguably the hardest place to play in the country.
No, the only 2 active FCS teams with a winning record in Grand Forks are NDSU and SDSU. Every other team has a losing record in Grand Forks.
Like
And
that
weird
13
shit
game
happens
could
in that
suck.
dome.
Yep.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, they've won 94% of their games at the Division I level in the dome or whatever the hell it is. Like that's if they are
right?
and legitimately, like if they are like they're not a seeded team this year, I don't think, but are they fighting for a playoff spot week 13? They could be.
They could be.
Yeah.
I mean, they
I don't want to play
end up there, don't they?
What's that?
Like UND always ends up fighting for the life at the end of the season. UND and you and I both.
It does feel that way. So yeah, they could be. That could be a rough game.
Well,
So
that leaves us one here.
Boo.
As Sam Herder said, the big, the bad, the Bison.
is who says?
Sam
Herder.
Herder.
Oh yeah, he does, doesn't he? Yep.
He went there to school, so he's pretty non-homery for going there.
So he's pretty impartial for being a grad
He's
there.
hugely impartial.
Yeah, he goes out of his way to be impartial, but he's right. In this case, they're the team with the target on their back.
All right. Is there again? It was really funny how offended he got when he was asked about losing guys to the portal. And I mean, he jumped in like, nope, 88% of everybody on this team was recruited out of high school. And I was curious. I didn't understand. Did they actually go there out of high school, or were they just recruited and then transferred in? That's one
They were
thing.
recruited and transferred in is what he meant by that.
Okay,
Yeah.
so they didn't all go there directly out of high school, which again, it's fine. Whatever, it's the world we live in. Does anybody see a game that the Bison could lose with an S, other than being at SDSU? Is there a game that they could drop this year?
USD,
I think USD and at Illinois State are interesting to
SIU.
me.
SIU could be salty, man.
Oh yeah, I
At
think
home, I lend less credence to that, Chad, but I don't completely disagree.
Could lose, right?
Yeah.
I mean, my opinion is not as solid win percentage wise over SIU at home versus your model. That's okay though.
I think this year for them, with having a new quarterback, whether it's Cole Payton or the other guy, it's a tough year to not have him be successful, I think, for them in particular. So, because their defense hasn't, I mean, it's not been bad, but it hasn't been NDSU code green or whatever they call it level necessarily either.
Code
Where
green
like you're getting
defense.
shut down for 3 yards of rushing for the game or whatever. So that stretch, week 5 through 7,
is interesting in that regard.
Because you've got 3 teams there that, if you don't have good quarterback play, are capable of getting up on you by a score or two, and you're having to try to play catch up, which this isn't really their bag anyways. And now you're having to do it with a newish quarterback. That's interesting. I still think they win those games, but those are interesting. If I were to put money on them losing one, I would say Illinois State probably, because it's on the road. And then I'd say UND is iffy as well, just because I don't think they'll lose USD. I think USD is they're going to be ready as hell to face UND after losing to them 2 years in a row. And they're going to put a beat down on them, I think, in Fargo. But UND in Grand Forks, that one I could see them potentially dropping as well. But otherwise, realistically, if they have bad quarterback play, which I'm not predicting they do, I predict they at least have okay quarterback play. I don't see them losing more than 2 or 3.
Does anyone else, maybe just me, does anyone else find it so interesting that they are like so dead set on Peyton is going to be the starter when their media is like been pushing Hayes, like no, Hayes could pass Peyton? Is that just like apathy towards Cole Peyton? Do you guys think are they that high on Hayes? Is it some of both?
I think they're kind of making the mistake that we made years ago where we ran a guy not named Zach Zenner. The guy's earned it. He's good. Undoubtedly, he's good. How much better is he than the guy behind him? Maybe not better, but maybe they're similar-ish. I don't know. I know I've talked to NDSU fans, and Brendan knows who I'm talking about, that are all in on Hayes, right? They said he's way better than Cole Peyton. I mean, what little we saw of him, he was a stud.
But for how many years did they want Peyton to start over Miller? And we saw what Cam Miller became when given time.
Well, it's not. It would not be out of character for NDSU over the last Cam Miller era to start one quarterback and end up having another one take over during the season and play the rest of the season.
Yeah.
If you go back to Miller's freshman and sophomore years.
And junior years.
Yep. I don't know. I'm excited to see what Peyton can do. He's a hell of an athlete. He's got a lot of experience at this point. I mean, it feels like the dude's got to be like 28 years old by now. I know that he's not, but he's been around a long time, seen a lot of snaps in a very successful culture. And I don't know. I think he can do well. Is he gonna, pick apart a defense, for 400 yards passing? If he has to, if they get into that, no, probably not. But
their receivers are going to be so good. That receiving core, not even beyond Bryce Lance, is going to be so good.
Yeah,
he's not going to have that many tight windows to throw into. Is going to be the thing. It's
right.
Yeah, it is, and I'm not even talking shit about the guy either. I think he's a hell of a quarterback.
No, I didn't think you were.
He's going to be good. I'm just saying. I'll be surprised if he gets beat out. I think he can do it. I think this is his time. I think he's been waiting for this window for so long, and I think they're going to have an NDSU season. That's what they do. I am very curious. One, I want to say that week 11 at UND, I think that is a very losable game because, again, University of North Dakota, those players are so bought into this new staff. But, does anybody see anything else we haven't talked about that they could drop? Indiana State is before South Dakota State, week 8. We also have Indiana State in between North Dakota State and USD. Is there a chance that Indiana State surprises somebody?
The trap state
is that ultimate trap game, right? They have the best trap games. Did they surprise anybody?
They have the quarterback to cause a problem, but potentially you've got young quarterbacks on both of those teams, which, kind of lends itself into leadership to a point. Well, young, I guess new is a better term. They're not necessarily that young. It's not out of the possibility. It's not impossible this year, I don't think.
All right, write that one down because they have the best opportunity for like the ultimate trap game within conference of anybody. They got 2 of them.
And they are kind of like that new Western, well, not new, but they're kind of Western Illinois-esque where nobody's in the stands. You gotta bring your own energy on the road.
Yeah.
Fortunately for us, it's a home game, so I don't know.
Little easier to get.
Still hesitant to say that. Yeah, you're right, Chad. It is easier to get to than Western Illinois.
That's about the only difference, right?
Yep.
That normal were terrible trips.
Anybody got anything else on the Bison or any other closing thoughts here?
keep a lookout for our beer.
Yep. Keep a lookout for the beer.
Like Dallas, you want to talk about what's coming up here before we shut her down here? Being as
I
that
wasn't
you'll be on
prepared.
those shows. Oh,
No, man. Sorry, was not prepped. Have not gone through that. So upcoming. How many weeks do we have? We have.
I know the offense and defense
Just
previews
over
are
a
up next the
month.
next 2 weeks. I just can't
Okay.
remember which or which.
No, thank you. I appreciate that. We'll get the information out soon. But yes, we got offensive preview. We got defensive preview. I mean, really, we're only, what did we say today? 5 weeks.
Yeah,
from-
under 5 weeks from.
Yeah, so we'll go through. We got to cover the offense. We got to cover the defense. We'll go a little bit more in depth, obviously, into the schedule for the week. Talk about rosters, everything coming up. But no, it's. I mean, we're creeping up on this quick. This is exciting.
Yep. Should be away we go. We got the new spot. You can see where it is on the map. Chad moved it.
Going corporate into the backyard. Love it.
Yep, we caved to the suits.
Well, I think that's all we got here today. Thanks to everyone that's hung on the almost 2 hours here. I thought we'd get out an hour and a half, and that did not happen. But
Yeah,
that's
I'm
all right.
cooked now. I'm toast.
Night, y'all. And
With
with
that,
that,
Go big, go blue, go Jacks.
go Jacks.
Go Jacks.
Oh,